Alright. This is Unit 8, Measurement Relationships, and this is just the getting ready section, so these are all things that you are supposed to know already. You can take that page that you have and flip she over to the white side. That's where you're going to take your notes, okay? Okay, here we go. First step, perimeter. Perimeter. There you are. Now you can see. Perimeter. You can please draw this shape. Not so big. You're going to have lots of notes on here. What shape is that? What's that thing called there? Oh yeah, that's a rectangle.
It's a figure. A figure with 5 sides.
And it's got side lengths 5.6 centimeters and 8.2 centimeters. Now, who can tell me the formula for perimeter?
Equals side plus side plus side.
Oh, so we could do length plus length, don't write this, plus width plus width.
Or you could do 2L plus 2W.
We could do 2L plus 2W, don't write this.
Or you could do side plus side plus side plus side.
Or we could do 2 times L plus W, write that.
Or you can just do S times
You can do side.
Okay, this is the one you want to use right here. Okay, this one's good too. This one's can be a step easier. Okay, so now what do we do, Emily?
Oh, we put in the numbers.
Sure. Does it matter which one I call L and which one I call W?
No.
Sure doesn't.
Everyone.
All right, you have your calculators out. 5.6 plus 8.2.
13.8.
2 times 13.8.
27.6.
Nope. It's not?
Sure is.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Sure is.
And what units are we using?
Centimeters.
And since perimeter is just, pay attention, perimeter is just the distance around, so it's just length plus length plus length plus length, then we still are just using centimeters. It's still just measured in centimeters all the way around. Okay, excellent. Good job. Here we go. There's a little quick thing on the perimeter of a rectangle or any polygon with straight edges. Just add up all the sides.
If it's a square,
Okay.
you can do.
Square is 4 times the side length.
Yeah, or
Rectangle
side
is...
times side, right? Or that's area.
Ooh, careful.
This is-
Okay, here we go.
Careful.
Circumference.
That is tricky.
And you can draw this circle.
I actually really like figuring out the circumference.
You're really fun.
That's nice.
Okay. Who knows the formula for the circumference of a circle?
Pi times 2
3, 4,
r.
1, 4, 1, 5, 2.
Pi r. 2 pi r.
Okay? This is it right here. Nothing else, nothing crazy. If your formula has a squared in it, you're not doing distances, you're doing area. You don't want to get those mixed up. Okay. Here we go. What do we sub in here? Do I sub anything in for pi?
No.
Correct.
3.1.
No, you do not sub in 3.14. Pi is not 3.14.
Press the pi button.
Okay.
Sub in the R.
Miss T.
Good. What is the radius?
5.3.
5.3. And punch all that into your calculator. 2 pi times 5.3.
It's 1.
Or you could just do pi times the diameter.
It's 1.14, right?
Double.
Which is 2 times 5.3.
2 times
Isn't it
3.14.
10.6 times 3.14.
33.284.
Too many people talking at once.
33 point, rounding to 1 decimal 3. And what are we measuring this thing in?
Centimeters.
Centimeters.
Is there another way to show a pi symbol? Because I don't think I have that one.
You definitely have a pi symbol on your calculator.
I can't see, like, is there...
I just did 3.14.
Okay, so here's what...
Oh, I don't have any.
Emily, do not do 3.14. Use
It's
pi.
not
I don't have.
3.14.
What
Miss
is
T's
it?
a liar.
Okay, I'm going to just show you quickly how to punch this thing into your calculator. You would just simply hit
There is, right here.
2, that button, then you'd hit this button, then you'd hit this button,
2.
then you'd hit this button,
Times
this button,
I got the same
This
answer.
button.
Oh, I got the same answer though.
this button.
Exactly. So
No.
it's
Okay.
Maybe my button needs different pushing.
I got the same
Excellent.
answer though.
Next note on your list. All right, your next little section is called area formulas. Area formulas. And we're just going to jot down a bunch. So area is the space that a shape takes up. Okay? So area measures the space that a 2D shape or figure covers. Area is a measure of the space that a 2D shape covers. It is measured in square units. So if the length and width are measured in kilometers, then the area that that field takes up or whatever would be squared kilometers, kilometers squared. If you're measuring the area that a piece of paper takes up, you'd measure the length and width in centimeters, and then the area would be measured in centimeters squared because you're multiplying the length and width together, you're multiplying also the units together. So centimeters times centimeters is centimeters squared. Okay, here we go. Quickly, rectangle. Rectangle, draw a quick little diagram of a rectangle. And what is the area formula for the area of a rectangle?
Oh, 2 lengths.
That's perimeter. It's just length times width. Yep, we're moving on. So we're doing something new. Area is length times width. Excellent. The next shape we need to talk about is triangle. Draw a quick diagram of a triangle. Doesn't matter what your triangle looks like, as long as you draw a 90-degree a perpendicular line to the base and you label B and H. Okay, on our rectangle we should label W and L. But what is the area formula for a triangle?
Half base, base, and
1/2 BH.
Or base times height divided by
Yep. Good. Next is a circle. Draw a quick little diagram. What have I drawn? I've drawn the radius. And what is the area formula for a circle?
pi times 2r.
Area equals pi r squared. 2 pi r was the perimeter, was the circumference, okay? So now we're working on area. All right, next shape is a parallelogram. Parallelogram. This one could probably use some exploration, but we're not going to right now. Just draw yourself a parallelogram. Make sure you note that it is indeed a parallelogram. It has 2 pairs of parallel lines. And does anyone know actually the
Nope.
area formula?
Did we? I don't think we learned
Let's
this.
do the line.
Yes, he did. Look.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, okay.
This is the height.
Okay.
And this is the
Base.
base, sure. And so the area is base times height. Okay?
Oh, I remember. Yeah.
Now the reason why this works, and I'll just quickly show you, is if you were to take this triangle over here, cut it off, flip it around, and stick it over here, you'd have a perfect rectangle, and the length would be B, and the width would be H. Okay? Good. And then our last shape that we're talking about is a trapezoid. Trapezoid. Draw yourself a simple trapezoid. It's got a little parallel line on the top and a longer parallel line on the bottom, and then kind of connect those sides. Okay? And we're going to show that the top and the bottom are parallel to one another. And this one's a little bit more challenging, but basically you take a line from that vertex perpendicular to the base, and that's the height of the trapezoid, right? And then you have B for the base, and we use the letter A to represent the other side, the top parallel line. And now look at what happens. It's actually just really the formula for the average of something. So we need the average of the lengths, so a plus b divided by 2, times h. So it's still really the same as a rectangle, length times width, where base times height. So we've got height, and then we're going to multiply it by the average of a and b. So we're actually kind of finding the length of this line going straight across the middle.
The bisect.
Yeah, so this isn't going to be perfectly sensible to you from the start, but I will explain it again. So because multiplication is commutative, I can move these things around. As long as I have the bases added up, so the short and the long parallel sides added up, and cut it in half, that means I'm taking the average of those and I'm multiplying it by the height. But because multiplication is commutative, it doesn't matter what order we do it in. And whenever we're recording something like a formula, we always put the number in front like a coefficient and then leave the variables off behind. But you could write this like this. That would tell you, oh, it's the average of that, and then times it by h, right? Or times it by h. Okay? It's just not standard way of writing it. Good. We have a couple more things to cover. Really, surface area and volume. Okay? So surface area. Somebody describe surface area of a geometric solid to me. So if I said find the surface area of this guy.
It's the top.
What's the top?
Oh no, it's the whole thing. It's the everything that surrounds the inside.
Nice. Everything that surrounds the inside. That's a good way of thinking about it. It's like the skin that goes around the shape. If you could peel that off, how much area, how much space would it take up? Okay? So here we go. Surface area. Surface area. In order to do that, I'm going to tell you what a net is. Okay? A net is a flat pattern
That folds up into.
that folds into a geometric solid. A solid being a three-dimensional
Oh, we've done this before.
shape.
We need these like every.
Okay? Surface area. Surface area is the space that a net covers. So, draw a quick little cylinder here. Okay? Note that that cylinder is 20 units, we'll call it centimeters, 20 centimeters tall, and the radius of the circular face is 4 centimeters. It's helpful to kind of peel that off and look at it, look at the net. So the net, the top face is a circle with radius of 4. The next part, the wrap, it's actually just a rectangle that wraps around it. Okay? It has a height of 20 centimeters and it has a length of 2 pi r, right? Because this length is the circumference of this circle.
Oh, she's here.
And it's got another circular face at the bottom that's identical to the one at the top. Alright? So the surface area for this guy, I have to take my area of each circle, which is 2 pi r, which is pi r squared. So the area of this circle is pi r squared, the area of this circle is pi r squared, so I actually have 2 pi r squareds. And then I'm going to add the area of this rectangle. Well, the rectangle is length times width, right? And in this case, length times width, we've got 2 pi r is the length, and then the width is actually the height of the cylinder. So now we'll plug in our numbers that we know. R is 4, and we got 2 pi r is 4, and the height is 20. And we're going to keep these things separate But now we can plug it all into our calculator, and you might have to do it section at a time. Just stick with me for another couple seconds before you clean up. You've got 4 squared, which is 16. 16 times 2, which is 32. So you've got 32 times pi. Who's got 32 times pi?
Who's got it?
100.53.
Okay,
got
so
six-
100.5. And then this block,
Did you do 32
you have
by?
4 times 20, which is 80, times 2, which is 160, and you need to do 160 times pi. Which is
502.6.
502.7, and then we add those things up. We end up with 603,
Oh, I did.
approximately 603
And Mr. O'Black says that Mr. V's gonna let us out early.
centimeters squared. Okay, we didn't get to do volume, but you have getting ready on the other side of that white piece of paper, and you can have that done by
Next week.
next Monday. Thanks very
Can you
much.
tell Mr. O'Black to put it